Wow, I've never blown my nose on video. Pioneering here. My God. S21 Hot One. Yeah, I know. Like a Cheeto. Can't have one. What seems like a quip is Melissa McCarthy's flawless self-summary. Funny, quirky, and memorable. Her fans worldwide consider her comic queen, who made bridesmaids theaters laugh, and can you ever forgive me choke critics. Emmy winner, Oscar nominee, fashion brand, production firm, and empire owner who urges women to break body shape stereotypes. However, few know that before she became Melissa McCarthy, she lived like a shadow for years, working as a nanny to make ends meet and performing as a drag queen in New York nightclubs under the stage name Miss Y, as if she wasn't ready to claim who she was. No typical beauty, ideal figure, or powerful supporter. Melissa came to Hollywood with an outdated bag and a vague hope that someone would let her stay if she could make people laugh. When she came on stage in thick makeup and ill-fitting shoes, an unorthodox figure emerged, not through beauty, but by guts, irreverence, and a frantic wanna-be-seen once. The narrative you're about to hear goes beyond stardom. It's the story of a lady who refused to be labeled, stood out, and transformed her peculiarities into a beacon. Early life felt out of place in her hometown. Melissa McCarthy felt that she didn't belong as a child, even before she left her small village. Plainfield, Illinois, a rural Midwest town with planting dates and conservative traditions, was her birthplace on August 26, 1970. Irish farmer Michael McCarthy was her father. Sandra McCarthy, her healthcare worker mother, was compassionate, loyal, yet demanding. Melissa, the youngest child with an older sister, was raised under severe Catholic discipline where order was valued over uniqueness and silence was treasured above laughing. But Melissa never remained silent. She could ruin a dinner by imitating her grandmother's voice or fainting in the living room to witness her mother's response. She laughed loudly, spoke hastily, and overacted like she was practicing her first role. Around the dinner table, she learned her first lesson. Making someone laugh would get you attention. Her famous cousin, Jenny McCarthy, was becoming a Playboy icon. Melissa chose the opposite. No sex, no obedience, no compromise. She wasn't Hollywood perfect and didn't try. She loved fashion, but not dressing up. She liked making something new from a shredded magazine or fabric scrap. Melissa and her childhood closest friend Brian Atwood, who would later become a famous shoe designer, spent hours ripping up Vogue magazines, scribbling on notebook paper, and pretending to stage a Paris catwalk show. Her free-spirited imagination drove her to Southern Illinois University to pursue garment design. However, she eventually stated that it became too restricting. She quit school because she didn't fit in. The plan and destination were unclear. One thought, go far, to be herself, starting as a drag queen and being fired for overdressing. Melissa McCarthy moved to New York alone with 3 things after dropping out of school: an old luggage, a portable sewing machine, and the hope that if someone laughed at her, she could survive. New York wasn't for fragile hopes. She was a nanny by day, a dance group costume maker by night, and lived so strictly that she couldn't take money from the ATM. Her balance was under $5, below the minimum for transactions. If no one yells my name in real life, I'll make them clap on stage, she thought as she sewed in a cheap East Village room at night. Another part of her emerged on those cold winter nights. Miss Y, not Melissa. A wild, flamboyant drag queen storming the scene. Her scripts, costumes, makeup, and shows were all her own. No director, no pay, no TV deal. Gay community cheers in a small room with dim lights. Greater applause than ever before. Miss Y became an underground drag star in New York. She appeared at Wigstock, a festival for underground artists. Melissa didn't need permission to stand out or lose weight there. She was no longer social outcast. Her art had a following, but reality called. Her path to the film was barred in New York, and drag queens remained marginal. Melissa went to Los Angeles in 1996, the city of lights, but a place where people like her were rarely accepted. She joined the Groundlings, which put Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig on the map. She discovered her artistic family and developed a bold, absurd, emotive, and unpredictable acting style. She met Ben Falcone, her most in-sync performance partner and ultimately her spouse and constant companion. There, Melissa got her first break when her cousin Jenny McCarthy cast her in a supporting part. However, that role flew by. Small roles in Go, Charlie's Angels, David Gale's Life, Kim Possible, but hardly one recalled her face. Even though she always did something that made her unforgettable, and occasionally being too distinctive cost her the chance. She was thrown off The Priest's Wife for dress too flamboyant for the role. Another director rejected her for being too energetic for a supporting role. Luck struck in 2000. Was cast as Chef Suki Saint, James and Gilmore Girls, a hit show. Its pricing wasn't appealing. To appear on screen, she had to eat 500 calories daily. Melissa's body weakened, her mind wandered, and she realized Hollywood sought to change her after being chosen. She had crowds laughing with Miss Y, but on set, she had to laugh smaller to fit the frame they wanted her in. Breaking stereotypes, career success, icondom. Melissa McCarthy had come a long way from the chilly nights in East Village, where she became Miss Y for a few minutes of applause. No one could have guessed that her outrageousness, that inappropriate Hollywood image, would be her greatest weapon to shatter every mold and turn the celebrity game on its head. She had a big break in 2010 when she played Molly Flynn in Mike and Molly. She won over millions of Americans as a round-bodied, brilliant, witty, and real elementary school teacher. That performance earned her the 2011 Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series and opened a new chapter for women who had been excluded from the leading lady position. The story was different behind the curtain. Melissa designed and sewed her own awards presentation attire because no company would sponsor a big actress. The 2011 Bridesmaids actress pushed herself and the audience further. Melissa touched audiences as Megan, the quirky, offbeat, yet charming sister-in-law. One spontaneous quip made filmmaker Paul Feig laugh so hard he stopped filming. Her performance won her an Oscar nomination, BAFTA, Critics' Choice, SAG, and MTV Awards. More importantly, it forced Hollywood to accept a new type of performer. Not perfect or glamorous, but irreplaceable. McCarthy entered her golden age at the box office. Identity Thief, The Heat, opposite Sandra Bullock, and Spy, 2015, made over $150 million. Spy secured her status with a Golden Globe nomination. Melissa went beyond comedy. A box office powerhouse. Naturally, that caused bruising. After starring in the 2016 all-female Ghostbusters reboot, she was slammed for touching a cinematic legacy. Criticism poured in for her appearance, gender, and role. The picture grossed $229 million, and Melissa didn't have to defend herself. The success told it all. She went beyond acting. She started on the day productions with her husband, Ben Falcone. They wrote, produced, and starred in The Boss, Life of the Party, and Thunder Force, which weren't always well received but allowed McCarthy authority over her voice. The industry couldn't ignore her. 2 Oscar nominations, 2 Emmys, a Hollywood Walk of Fame star, and a New York Times list of the 25 greatest actors of the 21st century among her honors. She outranked Robert De Niro and Kate Winslet. Perhaps the most surprising thing is that a plus-sized woman who doesn't follow fashion trends or pander to the public might ascend so high through honesty and daring. When did you last laugh so hard you cried over a character so different? Maybe that's when you realized. What makes us unique can also make us memorable. Private life, sorrow behind joy. Melissa McCarthy engages viewers beyond screen laughter. She discreetly gains acclaim for keeping her marriage warm and quirky in true Carthy flair. In 2005, she married Ben Falcone, a fellow actor, longtime colleague, and drinking partner at the Snake Pit Bar in Los Angeles, where they often stayed after improv class since neither wanted to go first. We kept pretending to offer each other another drink, and a month later we recognized we were either having a problem or falling in love. Melissa remembered with a smile, and I thought she could be the one to stop me from shopping. In a business where marriages survive less than a TV season, this pair has been married for nearly 20 years. They write scripts, produce films, nurture their daughters Vivian and Georgette, and discuss job choices and quirky interests. Ben loves long-distance riding, wears Lycra, and eats Werther's Originals at the summit like a pro. Melissa is obsessed with buying portraits of strangers at flea fairs, which no one wants, but she insists on bringing them home and making up intricate backstories for each. Her name is Dawn. She paints on weekends, yet works at a bank. Just know, can feel it, Melissa says with full conviction. Ben counters, she's possessed. Things inside their home are often funnier than in any movie. When their older daughter asked to keep a pet fish, they swapped the dead one with a new red one and told her it changed color thanks to magic. Melissa was once terrified of a house gecko, but later started talking to it daily. This family isn't perfect, but perhaps it's exactly that imperfection that makes them so enduring. Controversies and personal scandals, when kindness is misunderstood and humor becomes a target. In 2020, during the 20 Days of Kindness campaign, she launched with HBO Max to promote the film's superintelligence, McCarthy faced intense backlash after unknowingly supporting Exodus Cry, an organization accused of opposing LGBT rights and being anti-abortion. Ironically, the campaign's original goal was simply to spread kindness, but that very intent put her on the defensive. Instead of hiding, Melissa chose to confront it. She filmed a public apology, admitted the mistake, and immediately withdrew the donation. It was one of the rare moments in Hollywood where a star bowed their head with genuine humility. No evasion, no blame shifting, just accountability. A year later, she again drew public attention when, in an interview with The Guardian, she revealed she had once worked on a film set so toxic that it wasn't the first time Melissa became one of the few voices daring to expose the backstage realities often hidden behind Hollywood's glittering surface. And then in 2016, her role in the female-led Ghostbusters became the target of severe online attacks. The film's trailer quickly became one of the most disliked videos in YouTube history. But instead of backing down, McCarthy looked the backlash in the eye and stated plainly, that was the reaction of a very toxic, very sexist minority. A sentence free of malice, but strong enough to capture the truth every woman who dares to break the mold eventually faces. She has also faced criticism for her comedic style, with some accusing her of using her body as a punchline. But the truth is, McCarthy has never hidden herself, nor has she ever used her body to ask for sympathy. She performs with full confidence and chooses her characters from the heart, not to appease rigid beauty standards. Melissa McCarthy isn't the kind of celebrity synonymous with scandal. But if you think her life has never been shaken, perhaps you've forgotten one thing. Even kindness, when misdirected, can become the center of a storm. Present life, a mother who secretly brings home paintings. After all the scandals and controversies, Melissa McCarthy didn't back down. She chose to live simply but authentically, completely as herself. And that very honesty is what makes it impossible to look away. In January 2025, at the Golden Globes, she drew attention in a hot pink jumpsuit by Christian Siriano, accompanied by an elaborate cape that took 15 minutes just to fit into the car. Not everyone dares to go that bold, but Melissa does, because she's never let anyone else write her fashion story. In a world where people often turn to surgery to fit fleeting standards, Melissa chose a different path. She once lost 75 pounds through diet and consistent kickboxing, no pills, no operations. Not because of appearance pressure, but for health and clarity. It was a silent yet powerful declaration that real beauty begins with self-respect. In May 2023, she returned to the big screen as Ursula, the legendary sea witch in the live-action The Little Mermaid. Her performance was praised as flawless, even in its silences, once again proving her versatility after more than 2 decades in front of the camera. But McCarthy doesn't live by roles alone. With her husband, Ben Falcone, she continues to be the creative force behind On the Day productions. From 9 Perfect Strangers 2021, God's Favorite Idiot 2022, to Unfrosted 2024, Genie and Boo set for late 2025, this duo keeps nurturing new stories, not just on screen but also within their home. Offstage, Melissa McCarthy is a woman full of what can only be called adorable secrets. Since 2024, she's taken to collecting portrait paintings of strangers from flea markets, then secretly bringing them home because her husband and 2 daughters insist they're haunted. I think they deserve to have their stories told, she shares, as if each anonymous face holds a forgotten soul. With over 40 paintings scattered around the house, McCarthy has turned her home into a gallery of emotions. A little strange, but quietly poetic. In the McCarthy-Falcone household, no one is exactly normal. Vivian, their eldest daughter, has a deep passion for reptiles. She owns a lizard named LeFou, who terrified Melissa in the early days. But now, as if by some quiet magic, Melissa is the one who visits LeFou's room every day to chat, as if it were an old friend. No flash, no spectacle, just the quiet truth of a mother full of affection, a wife who knows how to bend with love, and an artist who believes in the beauty of small things. In a culture obsessed with finding the perfect role model, Melissa McCarthy walks the other way, choosing the imperfect, the human, the meaningful. Nameless paintings, a tiny lizard, and a kitchen filled with laughter every day. These may seem like the simplest of fragments, but together, they form the extraordinary life of a woman the world simply can't ignore. An impact. Unconventional women can lead the way. 2. Melissa McCarthy never tried to become someone else's ideal. But precisely because she never tried, she ended up becoming a guiding light for an entire generation of women. those once deemed unfit to dream of Hollywood. She doesn't have the figure of a traditional sex symbol, nor the mysterious coolness or a drama-filled backstory crafted for publicity. But with talent and resilience, Melissa carved her name into milestones few stars ever reach. 2 Emmy wins, 2 Oscar nominations, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a spot among Forbes' top 3 highest-paid actresses in the world, and a place on Time magazine's list of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2016. In 2020, the New York Times named her one of the 25 greatest actors of the 21st century, ranking her 22nd ahead of several multi-Oscar winning legends. But numbers aren't the only thing McCarthy leaves behind. More importantly, she changed the way the entire industry views what it means to be a woman fit for the screen. By conquering the box office with a non-traditional appearance, Melissa shattered the notion that an actress had to be slim, youthful, and conventionally beautiful to succeed. To her, it's honesty, humor, and the fearless embrace of the ridiculous that make a performance unforgettable. Beyond acting, McCarthy made a powerful impact in the world of fashion, a space that had long turned its back on those who didn't fit the runway size standard. In 2015, she launched the 7 to 7 clothing line specifically for plus-size women with a clear philosophy. Not everyone has to dress the same. We should dress based on our mood, not a number on the scale. This fashion line didn't just fill a market gap. It gave confidence to millions of women who had long been excluded from trendy collections. In a world growing weary of artificial perfection, Melissa McCarthy has become a new kind of icon, one of truth, kindness, and the right to be different. She doesn't stand for flawlessness, but for its opposite, an everyday woman, sometimes tired, sometimes wrong, but always willing to rise, to laugh, and to keep going. And perhaps that's exactly why she's so loved. Melissa McCarthy didn't rise to fame because of model height, a slim figure, or a beauty crafted to fit Hollywood standards. She made her way into the audience's hearts with something this industry rarely embraces: unpolished honesty, laughter born from pain, and the courage to never pretend to be anyone but herself. For over 2 decades, she hasn't just acted, she's written, produced, directed, and shaped an entirely new archetype of women on screen. Imperfect, unapologetic, and unboo. Whether it's Molly and Mike and Molly, Megan in Bridesmaids, or Ursula in The Little Mermaid, McCarthy always leaves behind more than just laughter. She leaves empathy and pride for those who've ever been underestimated. In a Hollywood that screams for something new but fears what's different, Melissa McCarthy chose to rise with laughter, with tears, and with a breathless kind of resolve. As she once said, "I didn't choose to be a symbol. I just chose not to stay silent." And maybe that's why audiences, from everyday viewers to the toughest critics, keep coming back to Melissa McCarthy. She's not a flash. She's a warm, steady flame that guides individuals who've never fit the mold. Most impressive about Melissa McCarthy? Comment below to share your opinions. For watching till the end, please like and subscribe so we can make more videos for you.